Do you believe in ghosts? Maybe after this podcast, if you don't, you may have a change of attitude toward that. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Leap Into Your Story podcast, where you discover your inner story, break down the process, and meet others who've done it so you can leap into your own story. We interview amazing guests who provide powerful insights that inspire you to get your story told. Be sure to visit our website at leapintoyourstory.com, and while you're there, subscribe and like us via your favorite social media network. Now sit back, get ready to take some notes, and let's get started. This episode of Leap Into Your Story podcast is brought to you by Leap Into Your Story course. Visit leapintoyourstory.com, where you have a guide to get your story told.
Welcome to the Leap Into Your Story podcast, where you discover your inner story, work through the process, and meet others who've done it. I am Victoria Andersen, host and author, and this is my continuing series on Spooktacular, where we feature anything paranormal. And in today's episode, I will be sharing 2 ghost stories of my own. The first one happened when I was in college and I had moved into my first apartment. Instantly, there was something about this particular unit that I was drawn to. I had an option of 2 units. This one was a little bit smaller and it was further from the pool. I wanted to be closer to the pool because it had a nice view. But I kept coming back to the smaller unit. Now, at the time, I wasn't really big in numerology, but I had used numerology to see if that was my confirmation. And again, it did direct me back to that smaller unit, even though part of me wanted the bigger one over the pool. But no doubt this one was meant for me. And it didn't take very long to get confirmation that, maybe I was guided there or something guided me there. Wasn't maybe the second day in, and I already had a feeling of maybe somebody watching me. Not exactly in a bad way, but there was definitely a presence felt in that particular apartment. I didn't feel fearful of it. I just sensed it was there. But it was, I think, the second night in that I actually stayed in my apartment that provided more insight to who that could be. And I had this unusual dream about this person who was in this radiant, spiraling light, almost like you'd see put with a crimson that reflects all the different kind of pastel colors. And there was a person sitting in the middle of this light that was in a World War II outfit. He had a strong resemblance to Hugh Hefner. That's why I kind of took notice, because thought maybe it was Hugh Hefner. But when I looked up early photos of Hugh Hefner, thinking that maybe that was him, it wasn't. Shortly after that, I would hear somebody sitting in my vintage wicker chair. If you've ever plopped yourself down in a wicker chair, it makes a very distinct noise. And one night, it actually happened when I had my friend over. So it wasn't just me imagining it. She clearly heard it. And she said, "Who just sat in your chair?" And I'm all, I have no idea. Now, I didn't think about it ever being a ghost, but ultimately, I think that that must have been what it was. Although I never actually seen the physical manifestation during the day, it happened during the dream time. I would get some interesting confirmation when the owner of the apartment complex, who was visiting after the earthquake that we had experienced, showed us the file. She'd kept the files from all the original owners. And in her file, she thought it would be fun to share the history. She knew I had a passion for her building. I loved my little apartment complex, not only my apartment, but the apartment complex. So in this file, there was a little like black and white photo of the original owner. And it was the person in my dream. It was the original owner. So for whatever reason, he showed up and made contact with me. So that is story number 1. If you like to read more about that, you can do so with my first book, Touched. I go into the bigger details leading up to that. So you can find that at Amazon.com. And the second story is regarding my beloved Boo Boo Kitty. He had come from actually the apartment complex that I was living in, and took him, moved in. He picked me as the owner. And when I moved from it, took him with him and gathered a few more other cats in the process. And unfortunately, shortly after him adopting me, he started to have severe seizures and ultimately had passed. He was just the most amazing little fur animal. I used to call him a fur human, because he had a presence that was unlike any cat that I had ever experienced. And anybody who came near him could testify to that. A couple of months after he had passed, in his bed, the master bedroom of our master bedroom closet in the master bedroom. A few months went by. I thought I saw a floating orb kind of in that vicinity, kind of hovered. But it wasn't until it actually shaped to a cat form that I realized that was a cat. It wasn't a little circular orb. It now morphed into a cat with the ears. You could see the front paws, eventually the body and the tail. And it happened to be in that exact same spot that Boo Boo Kitty had passed away on. Up until this time, I really did not think there was ghosts. It's one of those things where sometimes you don't get it until you have your own experience. And if you like to know more about Boo Boo Kitty and other encounters, you can do so in my second book, Trial by Fire. I want to thank you for tuning into the Leap Into Your Story podcast, where you discover your inner story or work through the process and meet others who've done it, so you can be guided into your journey to write your story. Remember to visit our website at leapintoyourstory.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're there, subscribe and like us via your favorite social media network. If you like to purchase any of my books, you can find my memoirs under VP Andersen at Amazon.com. We are looking forward to seeing you next time here on the Leap Into Your Story podcast.
Thank you for tuning into the Leap Into Your Story podcast, where you discover your inner story, break down the process, and meet others who've done it so you can leap into your own story. Remember to visit our website at leapintoyourstory.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're there, subscribe and like to us via your favorite social media network. We're looking forward to seeing you next time on the Leap Into Your Story podcast.